Hi, everyone, and welcome to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K. Laidlaw. Wendy has spent the last 2 years helping women with various stages of endometriosis to heal naturally after putting her condition into remission. After her own healing success from stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, she's inspired to heal others, and her goal is to help some of the 175 million women know that there is another way other than painkillers, drugs, or surgery. This is the place to be for real talk with real people for real results, so you can learn how to heal your endometriosis naturally. Please note that the opinions expressed in this program may represent options, but are not a substitute for proper medical care. Before starting any new healthcare program, we recommend you consult with a health professional.
Hey everyone, as always, I hope that this podcast finds you well. We are back with part 2 of the EndoBoss Table Talk with the lovely Marie and Sara from the UK. And I hope that you enjoy and feel inspired by listening to us discuss not only our previous journey, but where we're at now, having put this condition in remission. Enjoy.
But going back to the medical field, it's quite staggering that it hasn't advanced at all, apart from robotic surgery. And even diagnosis. I know that there's a lab that's just emailed me the other day saying, as I'm on their newsletters and I get Google alerts and stuff, if there's any developments in endometriosis kind of treatments or testing and things like that. Because I always like to keep ahead of what's happening. So there's this trial going through right now that this lab is going to, from blood tests, be able to discern and give people a diagnosis of endometriosis. And if you think people have to get a surgery on an already inflamed body to get a diagnosis, it just seems absolutely ludicrous. And if this was any other condition, it would have advanced by quite a significant amount already. But these trials for this blood test are not going to be available for another 4 years.
No. How bizarre you mentioned that, because one of my Facebook memories came up, I'm going to say 2 days ago, from a post I put up 3 years ago, saying, because BBC shared a thing saying that they were developing I was on Good Morning Britain, or it was on one of the, and I remember I put my status was, thank God at the moment you have to have an invasive surgical procedure. This will help millions of women, and we're still not there.
I know, and I think there needs exactly. I mean, we'll build momentum. The more that our community widens and gets bigger and stuff, we can really start to kind of like put pressure on the powers that be to say this is ludicrous. If you think they reckon it's 1 in 10 women, I think it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, I do.
The amount of women that have pain with their periods, and pain is not normal. Pain is an indication that there's something, that needs attention. If you think how many women are in pain, and as I say, like great grannies go, well, that's just part of being a woman, dear. That's not, so it is ludicrous that women have to have surgery in an already inflamed body to get a diagnosis. And it's the ladies that email through that say they've had the surgery and the surgeon can't find anything. And I'm always like, well, just because they can't find it doesn't mean it's not there. And ultimately, you're not going insane. And if you relate and identify with everything, all the symptoms, then you trust your own instincts over everybody else. Because even just hearing your stories, it's just, there's so many millions of women out there going through this, crazy making situation.
Yeah, well, that happened to me. My first surgery, I later found out he was a urologist. I don't know what he was doing surgery to look for, gynecological issues, but, he didn't find anything. Not surprisingly, it took me another 6 years. Keep going back to the doctor, keep going back, and then to have quite heated discussion with the doctor to say, you will refer me. And I had private healthcare at the time. He just was refusing. He said, you don't need to. You've already had surgery 6 years ago when I was 18 and nothing was found. And I said, you will. I've got private healthcare. You will refer me. And that's when it was found. It took until age 24 and I was being investigated since age 15 or something. And I totally relate to what you just said, Wendy, because I remember waking up from that surgery when I was 18, and when they said to me they didn't find anything, my heart just sunk. And I didn't want there to be a problem, but I just thought, I don't know what to do. Well, what am I supposed to do here, And I went to university 2 years later than I should have, because I was just constantly ill, constantly under investigation, and life is just on hold. It's on permanent hold when you're trying to find out what's wrong. And yeah, it's just it's not
Well,
acceptable.
I think that's it, isn't it? Because we all go through the same pathway. Things escalate to a point where we can't literally live with the pain anymore. And then this is the pathway, is women live with these levels of pain, and then they can't take it anymore, and they're literally on their hands and knees crawling to the doctor saying, help me. And then they give you painkillers, and then you have to fight to get a referral. By the time you get a referral to a gynecologist, they're trained in surgery and pharmaceuticals.
Something else.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I know, let's slice you open, an already in pained and inflamed body. But so exactly, there needs to be, because I totally understand people needing to get a name for what's happening, because then that gives an element of control and power, doesn't it? Like, okay, I get it now. You can go off and research and read. But it's all these women that are just languishing around, as I say, nobody's able to find anything. And I'm always like, just trust your own instincts. At the end of the day, we are the keepers, the master of our own body. We actually know our body better than any other single person. I don't know how many letters or whatever after their name. Nobody knows their body better than themselves. But it's building up that confidence in that relationship. And I guess that kind of leads me on. Like, how do you feel the relationship is with your body now?
Well, for me, I just listen. I just know what to do. I just know how much I look forward to my exercise now, because I used to pound myself in the gym and, all these various not very kind things to myself. But I look forward to when I'm going to do my yoga, or I use the gym once a week, and I look forward to it because I don't do anything excessive anymore. So it's lovely. It's a really nice thing to be able to just be in tune with your body. But before I read your book, I didn't have a clue. I just didn't understand self-care. I didn't understand, just anything, just, doing the right thing for myself. It was all about everyone else. And, but yeah, your book shed so much light on that. And it's just a wonderful feeling to be able to be in tune with your body and know that you are always right. You always know, your gut always knows. And the pill, I stayed off the pill. I only went on it after that second surgery because the surgery was so successful. So I stayed off the pill from age when they were trying to put me on it, whenever, 14. My sister was put on it very early, but I always said no to it. And now look what's happened on the back of having it, because I trusted them and had it. So my gut knew not to have it in the first place. But can I just say, I remember listening to Marie's, because your podcasts, Wendy, got me through really dark times, listening to all of them. And yes, I was literally always hanging on by a thread, just waiting for the next one to come out and listening to hear the success story and thinking, these people have done it, you can do it too. And I remember hearing Marie's, because she just mentioned her twin, because I think I was intrigued by Marie because she was from the UK, because I'd heard so many other guests that you had on, but I was just like, oh, there's someone from the UK. And I remember her mentioning her twin, because I think, Marie, you said your twin had PMDD, if I remember correctly. So this stuck with me. That's ages ago. This is years ago I listened to your thing. I didn't know that was you. But it was listening to your story and everything. Oh, it was lovely. Oh, just breath of fresh air to hear that, what you've done, all these things that you've done and achieved now. It's just so lovely to hear it. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. So you're so inspirational. You both are women, are so inspirational, just to have come out the other end. I'm on my way there now. I have been there, but I'm finding other conditions in the process. So I'm on my way there now as well.
Is that nice to hear, Marie?
Oh, it's amazing. I'm a little bit choked up, actually. That is really, thank you so much.
I remember it, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, partly I've got my twin to thank for even being in touch with Wendy, actually, because I got myself so low that, bless her, she actually started doing, because funny, Sarah, with what you were saying about being put on the pill at 14 and, the time, I had my first procedure in 1992, 93, and it was a colposcopy. And I don't know what they were looking for. I'm not even really sure I understood at the time what it was. But again, they didn't find anything. They said, no, it's just get used to it. It's just what it is. Have some painkillers, off you go. I wouldn't get diagnosed with stage 4 severe endometriosis until 2010. 18 years later. And I'd been going back and forward. And I had to push for that. I was like, can you just, please, there's something... This is not normal.
Yeah, exactly.
This bleeding every month. This, you said about the burning pain you get. I would have. The only thing I could liken it to was barbed wire being twisted and dragged through my bowel and intestines and rectum. It was, the pain was excruciating. And I just used to think, I remember sobbing to my twin one day saying, oh my God, I can't believe that they're not going to do, or they haven't found anything, or, and the surgery hadn't worked. And it was actually my twin that found the book. So I shall be, obviously love her to death anyway, but I've actually got her to thank for this now. And, it's just incredible, isn't it? But thank you so much for saying that. That's the fact that I've even affected one person.
You did. I remember it.
Wow,
I didn't realise that was you, but no, because you mentioned your twin, and I just remember hearing it, and it rung such a bell with me, because I was like, okay, so it's not just other people; it's someone in the UK as well with a British accent. I was like, you can do it. No, I remember it vividly, and this is years ago now. This is like a good
it's got to be 2 or 3 years ago. I think I did that one.
It's definitely. I know.
This is why we do this, because I remember being at that point where I was like reaching out to this very thin thread that I could barely grasp hold of to hang on to whether or not I could carry on. So, it's really interesting to hear you say that. And this is why I'm like, come on to the podcast, share your story. And not every woman wants to do that. And I respect that as well. Some women are quite shy and they feel uncomfortable, but it's really interesting hearing you both talk. And I know I'm the same. It's like, we've had to fight to get to this point. And there is a special, that's why you become a boss of your endometriosis and EndoBoss. And I think it really reflects the personalities that you have. I ended up feeling a victim to the condition, but I ended up sort of recognizing that obviously I had the power that I didn't know I had, because I was literally saying on my knees, begging, please help me. I don't know what else to do. And then literally when they washed their hands of me, it's funny, then I recognized, well, there was no other choice but to take back power and control. And I think this is the real message. There's this common theme, isn't there, where you both were in the doctor's office or in with, wherever, saying, help me get this out, do something for me, refer me or whatever, because you weren't getting that help. So this is the message is, if you're really tuning in, and obviously there's a time and a place for medicine and medical, so please don't get all excited if, I'm not saying the medical field are all bad, but, for those who are listening, but I am saying that you do know your body better than anybody. And if you're not, making progress, it's the definition of insanity that I talk about all the time. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and, not getting a different result, getting the same result each time. And I mean, that, as I say, 25 years each, that's just staggering. 50 years of pain plus my 33, that's just unnecessary. But as I say, and I just wondered why more people weren't open to the prospect of a natural approach. And I think it is because if somebody says to you, right, that's it, you've got this for life. I had somebody want to write an article, and they'd regurgitated the words, and then they sent it to me, and they said, there is no cure. And I'm like, not sure if you really understand the title of my business name of the book or my own story. Maybe you've missed that. I don't know if
did you not read it?
It's just kind of like heal endometriosis naturally. And that's why I altered the name of my book to say how I'm like, this is my story. You're not going to take that away from me. And to say there is no cure, but it's interesting because some people, like, they wear it like a badge. There is no cure. And I'm going, because I spent the first couple of years like saying, no, there is, like jumping up and down going, look, I give my book away for free, at least read it. And some people just weren't interested, and that's fine. I've come to respect that some people just aren't interested, and that's okay. But for those that are on the edge, those that have had their hands washed by the medical field like I was, or, and desperate states like you both were, then we need as women, I think I said in a podcast last week that I watched a very interesting documentary on Netflix called Feminism. What were they thinking? And it was really interesting because I thought in the 1970s, when the feminism movement rised up, all the women came together. Have you noticed in society how many women are pitched against each other and support each other? I think it was Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State for America, said, women should be building each other up, not tearing each other down. And I think that's kind of what my message was. Last week's podcast was like, you might not agree with doing it naturally, but at least support those who maybe want to try it. I think that was kind of like where I'm going with this is don't just attack a woman for at least wanting to try something different. If the medical field has not worked for her, if it's worked for you, awesome. But at least support the other women who maybe if it hasn't worked for. Do you know what I mean?
And no, it's the unknown, isn't it? For many people, they just, well, as you said before on your podcast, we're just so conditioned that you just go to the doctor. That's just what you do, your GP, and it will get sorted out. But it doesn't work for many conditions, things like chronic conditions. And I think, like, if you're rushed to A&E, yes, that makes so much sense. But for these sorts of things, what I've come to really learn in these last few years is that mind-body connection, which to me, that didn't exist before. And again, if I hadn't started on this path nearly 3 years ago now through reading your book, I just didn't understand that it just didn't make sense to me. So I think it's just the way it's the lack of education. It really is. And
but it's also sad though when they're aggressive, when you get people that are aggressive. I know, Marie, you've had an experience of that as well. You're wanting to share in a group like, hey, look, and then you were what was it happened? You were told kind of like,
the support group. Sorry, bear with me 2 seconds, please.
But that's it. I mean, some people are really, really
dog.
Idea
she wants to sit with me. She doesn't want to sit with me. I was on the support group for a local endometriosis support group, and I was quite reticent about joining it initially because I've had a little bit of experience in the past with trying to support people and suggesting that they just even read the book or just download the 5 top tips. You don't even have to read the book, which is free anyway. But so I was posting lots of amazing stuff. I'd posted up my testimonials, and one lady on there had commented that she was having, I think she was on her 12th surgery or something, and I just thought, surely you've got to be questioning if it hasn't worked after 12. How many more are you going to have? And that there was only one option. And I said, no, there's not one option. You've got a lot of options. And I actually got contacted and told to stop posting. The women on the group wanted to be supported in their medical choices, and that I'd basically made some of them feel a bit uncomfortable about posting up the positive posts I was putting. I actually took myself. I apologised. Obviously, I hadn't meant to cause any upset to anybody, but it was like it was almost like they didn't want to hear that there was another way. They were still stuck in that, quagmire of surgery, medication. But I think to me it just smacks of in the way we think of things. I was chatting to my best mate earlier, actually, who's been my biggest supporter for this, also a lady called Wendy, and she was kind of curious as to how this has all gone for me, and I said that the mind-body connection, Sara, as you just said, for me has been the biggest thing. And when I did since doing the coaching and reading the books that I've now read through, like The Divided Mind and In an Unspoken Voice and The Body Keeps a Score, all these incredible books, none of that was discussed when I was, not once was my emotional state considered. And I also think there's this in the UK, because everything's free on the NHS, we don't consider investing in ourselves emotionally by getting emotional support or help or counselling or psychotherapy, because you've got to pay for it, and people do not see it as an investment, whereas it should be the other way around. We should be, in my opinion, the medical profession should be looking at the emotional and mental element first, and then considering the surgical and pharmaceutical route. Everything's, but there is money in it, but there isn't. It's a difficult one, isn't it? But for me, it's the biggest connection.
Was it René Descartes, way back in the 1600s, was told by the church, you deal with the body, he was a physician at the time, and we'll deal with the mind. That was really interesting, but and it's a great shame, because he said at that point in history the two were separated off, and of course, how can they be separate, because they're all one. And equally, you've got the conscious mind, and then you've got the subconscious mind, and whatever is stored in previous trauma or mistreatment or mishaps or misfortune, that might be playing out as in the nervous system. But even the treatment and the mistreatment, I mean, the emails that I get and the horrors that I hear, I mean, I always maintain my podcast to be a positive place to come. So I don't talk about these things that much, but even a young girl, 22 years old, telling me she's been put through a chemical menopause, 22. And, you know, and she's having her hair falling out, brittle bones, you know, she's in an awful state. Another girl, 23 years old, you know, she's had her on her second surgery. She had her bowel perforated and going to have to get part of her bowel cut out, you know. And I think, as I say, I don't like talking about these things. I don't want to frighten women. At the same time, it's very important here to say you need to stand up and you need to say, can I get the names of all the people you've had success with first, please, before you slice me open? Or can I just check what are the side effects? And again, what is a great shame is what I hear from a lot of women. I know from my own experiences, sadly, the majority of people, not all, but the majority of doctors and surgeons don't like being questioned, and which I think is a great shame, because if they were, I think they could at least understand the emotional component, understand how distressing and upsetting it is for a woman to be there in the first place. That's not a choice. You don't go, when I'm a little girl, I want to grow up and be in 25 years of pain and have no life. That is not an aspiration for us all. So there's all these different elements, I think. So I think it would be great if this does come through, and I've got my eye in it, and I've emailed the company and said, please keep me up to date with, the trials and things, because these are the kind of things, at least because I get that women want to have a name for what's going on, and then of course hope that by avoiding surgery, at least getting a diagnosis from a blood test, they can then say there is another way. You have a choice. It doesn't have to be a sledgehammer approach to an egg, you know, like cutting open a body and going in with tongs and all the side effects that I hear about. I mean, I have a sensitive disposition anyway. And of course, it does upset me when I read these things and I hear these things and women reach out to me, but equally, it just fuels me even more to say, and that's why I'm saying to the women that aren't on that mindset, that's fine. But please just be open and supportive to the women that might be. You know, I think that's where women coming together in that way should be. You know, we should be respectful of each other's opinions. We're in a democracy. You know, we were allowed to have a differing opinion. We're allowed to experiment and try different things if the mainstream isn't working for us. Otherwise, you know, there's just too many people in a really sad, stuck situation.
Yeah, I mean, and to the ladies I was on that group too, you know, I thought, you know, well, this is going to be incredible. If I had somebody telling me, you know, 6 years ago, or when I'd had that blooming coil fitted, that, you know, no, don't, you know, and I know eventually I did, Wendy, when I found your book, but, you know, when I saw some of the stories on there, and it's one of the ladies had posted in one word, describe endometriosis, and obviously it was the torture, the humiliation, pain, agony, suffering, and my word was remission. Didn't get one like, not one like, but all the others were getting cares, and I just thought, wow, that's staggering.
But why do you think that is? I mean, I don't really understand that, because I'm always happy for other people and their success. And I find it inspiring. It's like, oh, tell me, oh, that's awesome. Like, I would have chopped off this right arm to get that information in that book. I remember crying. And I was thinking about this the other day, the amount of tears I shed. And I started to keep a chart at the back of my journal, how often I cried. It was about 4 or 5 times a day. And I'm talking big, sobbing, like end of the world tears. Like, I am like stuck in this body that I don't like. It's giving me so much pain, and I don't want to live anymore. I used to literally, like, they talk about suicidal idealization. I mean, that was a regular thing with me at that time. And I'm being really vulnerable here because there was no way out. So I don't understand why you saying remission, that would be like, I would be like all over that, going, oh my goodness. You know, so it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame.
No, definitely. And a family friend of mine, she's the daughter, she's 16 years old. I think she's 15, 16, 17 years old. And she's just got she had quite a big trauma happen to her when she was younger, and that's affected her greatly throughout her adolescence, and she's got terrible periods, and she was put on the pill for, I think initially for migraines. So she was put on the pill for migraines, and she doesn't have periods now. Her periods have stopped because she's taking the pill continuously. And I said to her as gently as I could, I just said, oh, you know, like, I've got, you know, I've had very severe endometriosis, had lots of, because many people don't know, you know, again, we always put on the brave face and nobody has a clue really what's going on behind closed doors. And I said, you know, I've found so many different ways of managing this. And she said, yes, but doesn't that all cost money? And I was like, yes, you will have to invest in some shape or form. She said, well, I can't. She said, because my family can't afford it, so I just need to stay on the pill. And she's on, I think, beta blockers as well. She's like 16 years old. She's on all these different concoctions of medication to try and, as Marie said, you take one.
You put someone on the pill for a migraine?
Yeah, I know. I just, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
She's so young as well.
I know. I can see her path. I can see already what's going on, and I'm just like, please, just. And she, you know, it's not the time for her now.
I mean, I've said it in some of the interviews. I think it's time. I think one of the ladies, didn't she? She said, "Oh, you're." So it sounds like they need to modernize their approach, and I think it needs to be looked at. And we're a progressive society. We should, of course, be looking at how the training is done, and of course, it's very pharmaceutically, you know, driven, and that might work for some people, and that's awesome. But what about those it doesn't work for? You're not, ultimately, they're symptom suppressors, these things. You know, they're trying to manage symptoms at best. They don't get to the root cause. And I think that's where, you know, I being at this particular point is great. That's why I wanted you both to come on as well. It's like, you know, you recognize it's a much more beautiful place to be here, understanding what's happening in your body and having a relationship with your body and all that, than being in that hamster wheel of perpetual stress, anxiety, depression, fear, you know, not being able to plan anything or do anything, not knowing what's happening. Being in a body that's in pain, inflamed and in pain all the time is a scary place to be.
Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely. And I mean, this girl, she's constantly having to cancel things. She's just always feeling so unwell. And I'm just, you know what's the route she's going down. And I know where she's going to be in 10 years' time, but there's nothing I can do to, you know, help her for now. But
no, and I think people do have to get there themselves. And I think I use this phrase, but it's worth repeating. Abraham Lincoln, the famous American president, said there's 3 types of people in the world. And this helped save my sanity. There are immovables, movables, and movers. And, you know, and it takes a certain amount of time before the tide will change, you know. So we're starting a movement, EndoBoss movement, where you know, we are the minority at the moment, but in time, those people that aren't interested now will, when everybody else starts to do it, and there's enough of, you know, momentum built and evidence and proof. In fact, that, you know, I'm still working, putting the final touches to the endometriosis success stories book, of which you are both in, and will be coming out soon. I can't wait for that to come out. It makes me quite emotional, because I just, you know, I want it to be a celebration of your journey and your success stories. And you know, maybe as we're coming to the top of the hour here, Sara, maybe you could share, what is it like to be an EndoBoss now? I mean, to not have that fear, that worry, that anxiety, you know, to be a boss of your endometriosis. What does that feel like?
Oh, it's the most liberating feeling. It just feels like I've got control. I've taken back control, and I'm not being controlled by this horrible disease. And I've said it, mentioned before when I did the podcast with you, but your book is literally like a Bible on my side table in the drawer, because it's just there for comfort, because I know that that's what's gotten me onto this path. And so it just feels phenomenal just to be able to know my limits and know my body and know what works for me now. And it's, you know, all, sorry to say it again, I keep saying it, but it's because it's true. It's on the back of reading your book. Your book has just it's changed my life completely. And it's, you know what, it's changed also, it's not just my life, it's changed people around me also, their lives as well. And that's what's really important, because they suffer with you too. Because if you're not feeling well, you can't do this, you can't do that, they can't do it then, or you know, it affects them in a certain way. So you're not just affecting directly me, you've affected my husband, you know, greatly as well. And you know, forever grateful, Wendy. It's a great read anyway. I think even if someone doesn't have endometriosis or they're not sure, it, you know, it does cover, you know, general women's health and just general mental health. So it's really helpful in that way as well. So it's an amazing feeling to be in control of my own health.
Oh, well, thank you for that. It's just so nice to hear, because it was like giving birth to to a baby, to produce it. And of course, so terrifying putting it out there, because I'm quite naturally shy. So putting it out there in that way just felt a bit odd at first, but just to hear the impact that it's had, it's absolutely worth it. And full credit to you. I can give people information, and it's what they do with that information that counts. So well done for all your hard work as well. It's amazing.
Thank you.
And what about you, Marie? What's it like to be an EndoBoss? I mean, you are now an EndoBoss coach as well, hence your certificates on the back there. And we've actually got our EndoBoss coaching academy opening in the next couple of months as well, which is super exciting. So my vision is to leave a legacy where this information does not die with me. This goes on long after I've gone. My children know this already, and we're already putting things in place, so this information can keep going out. But the best way for that is to train women as coaches to truly understand the complexity of the condition, but also how to inspire and empower other women. But what about you, Marie? What's it like to be an EndoBoss now?
I'm living again. It literally felt like for all the years I was suffering, I didn't know where it was going to end up. I really didn't. And I don't want to end it on a down note, because
but I can hear the emotion. And I think it's important to share the emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've had goosebumps on my arms here tonight, because I feel it, but it's an emotional journey, isn't it?
But people don't often ask that question, really, I think. And it's, a lot of friends kind of went through it on the periphery with me. I'd kind of, as Sara, we all dump on the brave face and turn up to events I really didn't want to be at, because it just, it wasn't going to last very long. But I don't have to turn down any invites now. I don't have to worry about taking double sanitary protection out with me. I don't have to worry about wearing white shorts anymore, because, I posted on the group the first time ever wearing white shorts, because I've been so paranoid about wearing stupid little things like not having to think about where's there going to be a bathroom in case I need to go. Sara used the word liberating. Absolutely, but I literally feel like I've been half dead, if that's not too strong a term, because I wasn't living a life. I was in constant pain. I was, constantly at the doctors begging for help, and nobody would listen to me. And I literally felt like I was living a half life, would probably be the best way to describe it. Yeah. The time I'd had off sick at work, the limitations it put on me in my job that I was doing as well at the time, the humiliation it caused me. Nobody else I know has got it as severe as I have, and it's, I just, to be able to now sit here today with Sara and Wendy and the ladies listening to this, and partners of the ladies if they are as well, it's the most freeing thing I've ever done. And the investment in myself is something I'd never done before. I'd invested in other people, things, stuff, my sports car, but none of that made me better. This has changed my life. It's been transformational, educational, celebrational, motivational, all the alls on the end. It's just been the best thing I've ever done. And I just can't, if you told me 2 years ago I'd be doing this now, I just literally would not have believed you. But to have not only put the condition into remission, have now trained as a coach and working with yourself, and now inspiring other women and supporting them through, it's my life's work. Absolutely, it was what I was put on this planet to do. And it's, again, like I say, I'm grateful to the condition for having had it, but I'm even more delighted to now not have it. That's all thanks to you, Ms. Laidlaw. Thank you kindly.
Mon pleasure, as they say in France. But I don't know why I said that, but never mind. It seemed the thing to say. But what would be your parting words to women that are listening? Because I know that there's a lot of women listening now, which is awesome. And I want this podcast to be an inspiration and empowerment podcast. So Sara, what would be your parting words to, because you very eloquently said earlier, that there was a time when you were like hanging on to this podcast because you needed that. But what would be your inspirational parting words to women as they're listening to this?
There is hope. Have hope. There is hope. Because I mean, I've been more on the periphery now, because I done the podcast with you earlier, and I've spoken in detail there. But my life was as Marie said, it's not a strong word. You didn't phrase it too strongly, Marie. You are literally half dead, like actually I think more than half actually. You're not, you don't have a life. There
You're
is
just
no
existing,
life.
aren't you? It's just existence.
It literally
there's no living element to it because you're literally
Exactly.
crawling. I used to use the analogy like I was walking through treacle every day. Literally the idea of going to the shops or doing one thing felt an inordinate amount of energy required.
Exactly, absolutely. And mentally as well, just thinking about the silly one thing, I must go and do this one thing, and it's such a big, it's like, oh no, I don't feel well. And so there is hope, and you need to try and find some strength and a little bit of extra strength from somewhere. But if you care about yourself enough, which we all must, you'll find it. And you can do it. You can do it. All you women out there listening, you can do it. I've done it. Marie's done it. Wendy's done it. We've all done it, and we've all been in that same place where, rock bottom doesn't even describe it, quite frankly. So yes, have hope
and take action. Take action on a different path. Yeah,
you're worth it. You are worth it. You're all worth it.
Yeah. Oh well, thanks. What about you, Marie? What would be your inspiring parting words to the women that are listening?
Well, I'd say trust your instincts, and I know you're probably doubting them because you've been made to doubt them, probably for as many years as Sara, myself and Wendy had with the medical profession. But if what we're saying to you is hitting any kind of trigger for you, I would say just really feel into yourself, journal about it, because obviously if you read the book, you will be journaling, hopefully. And if it feels right and instinctively it feels good to you, then just do it, because it's, can you imagine if you're sitting here in 2 years time on a podcast with Wendy saying how, or not even 2 years, I'm going, because obviously I started it in 2019, so obviously I've been in remission a year already. So just imagine in a year's time, visualize how that would feel and how different your life would be. And I can only say we're here today as testament to the fact that it can work. And as Sara said, have hope, because we hopefully are giving you that little glimmer that there is, and we're here to support you and love you through it. And that's what the main thing about this community is for, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for that. And I think that's it. It's just recognizing what is possible. I think that sometimes when you're at your lowest point and your darkest, they say that something, when you're at the darkest point, it's just before it becomes light again. And if you feel that you're in that really dark tunnel and there's no light, there is a speck at the end of it. But of course, you as you saying, Sara, you have to find that energy, that drive within you, just that one last time. Pick up the book. You can get a free copy of my book on my website. There'll be details in the notes below. There's also a 21-day challenge, which I have so many testimonials, hundreds literally now, for the impact from an emotional perspective. Sara, you were talking about self-care. It's a self-care 21-day challenge. I will encourage you how to learn what that is like. And then even we've got an Ultimate Emotional Health Summit coming up next week as well. So again, there's so many resources, so many free resources. There's paid resources as well if you want to come through the EndoBoss Academy and literally have us hold you by the hand as you make all the necessary changes that you need to make to heal your body, because your body ultimately is amazing. I mean, I think that's it. I have such respect for my body. I just did not treat my body very well before. I didn't know. I think, we've said it, we didn't know what self-care was because we hadn't been taught it. But when you learn self-care in a whole new way and then connect with your body and start to understand these emotion things, that was a challenge for me. And like, emotions, I don't do emotions, but then I did so many emotions, and they were invariably, I was scared of them. But when we can learn just to kind of embrace them, become comfortable with them, and then master them, then it's amazing how our bodies respond. And and when you know what to look for, I think that's the problem as well. Sometimes you can be fumbling around in the dark, and you just don't kind of know what to be doing. So thank you both so much for coming on tonight on a Saturday evening and doing our EndoBoss Table Talk. It really means so much to me, and I know it means so much to the listeners as well. And I really appreciate you both, fabulous EndoBosses that you are.
No problem at all. Thank you both for inspiring me, because Marie, it turns out you did as well.
Thank you, Wendy, and thanks, Sara. Lovely to meet you as well. And I think this has been wonderful, actually. Really nice to do. So thank you so much.
Hey everyone, it's Wendy here, and I so hope you enjoyed listening to Sara, Marie and me chat through our journeys, again in a nice informal round the Zoom table talk, and just share the journey where we're at and how we got there. Now, equally, you can listen to all this, but if you don't take action, things are going to stay the same. You know, my favorite saying is the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I did that for many decades, so I want to inspire you and encourage you to take action. There's a 21-day challenge going to be coming up. It comes up every couple of months. Please do register and join and have some fun with it and start to learn what self-care and connecting to emotions is all about. If you're ready for action, real action, really start look at things under microscope and get support and the coaching and the famous EndoBoss support that you really require, then apply to work with me at healendometriosisnaturallycourse.com. Equally, if you haven't got the book, you can go onto Amazon and buy it, or equally you can get a free paperback copy at healendometriosisnaturallybook.com. But if you're listening to this, it's awesome that you're listening to this, but the next stage is to start taking action. So whatever step that you're at, or whatever point on the pathway that you're at, know that you're not alone, but action is the one that's going to get the results for you that you seek and that you deserve. So until next time, take care, to your health. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with Wendy K. Laidlaw. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate us. If you're interested in learning more, you can download your top 5 jumpstart tips at healendometriosisnaturally.com and jump on the VIP email list. Remember to keep you number one, for the world needs a healthy you.